And 2 centuries later, they're betraying us, the barbarians hanging from trees.
Stick up in. This is what pisses me off with black people who so deep in Christianity. Because welcome again to another episode of the Washington SXM podcast. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to click that bell to get notified whenever I drop a video. So tonight we're gonna talk about James Sumar, Professor James Sumar. Let me not belittle his name. His name is he's a Ghanaian. He's from Ghana. He's a professor. He's a lecturer. He's an activist. He's a Pan-Africanist as well. He's been on every board there is. He's traveled all over the globe, from Europe to the Americas to the Caribbean, giving lectures. He's a professor as well, so he does teach in universities in the States. I think he did have around 20 years teaching in the States, in universities. So he's a brilliant guy. So let's get into what his thoughts on African history. He's a historian for Africa, basically. That's what he does mostly. And we're talking about tonight about the what did Africans believe in before Christianity. Me personally don't believe it is Christianity. It was never Christianity. It's a fact. It's a well-known fact. That's why it hurts me when I see black people so deep in Christianity and take it to heart and bring it to their grave. It pisses me off every time I see it. But anyway, let's get into it.
Periphery of the African spiritual and cultural system became Christianity. And when the Protestant broke away in the 1500s, the Ethiopian church was already 1,000+ years old. Had nothing to do with Protestant Europeanism. When the Catholic Church was founded in the 10th century,
Professor James Sumar
100 years old. Has nothing to do with that. Though some people try to make it appear that we borrowed it from them in that form. No. If you look at how we look at the arrangements and our referencing the divine and our relationship to divinity and the elemental understanding of how to build human character so that it imitates divinity, you get a good sense of what African culture is really about.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Practice the Yoruba culture, some of us the Igbo culture and others, but none of them have any samples that go with each other. Each of them are groups of African, under certain circumstances at a certain time in history, trying to work this thing out. You know, the Yoruba have done an extraordinary job. The Igbo did an extraordinary job before they were attacked, defeated by the British. If you look at the Igbo, for instance, who didn't have the kind of the royal kingship that the Yoruba had, the Igbos their power resided in the sacred groves. When the whites figured that out, they just burnt the whole damn forest down in order to destroy the sacred groves of the Igbo people. And so that dismantled and disorganized the people because
Naturally,
they had violated the sanctity of what these people believed and thought they knew. With the Yoruba, they're trying to capture the king and capture the palace. That's not like that. But these
stick up in. So you see, this is what Westerners do, enslavers do, when they go to Africa and they found a tribe that worships something other than their God, their Christianity, right? So you see what they did with this tribe? They burned, this tribe worshipped the forest and in the picture earlier. And they burn the entire thing down to the ground. So what that do is, whenever you find someone that believes deeply in something and you destroy it, that's gonna make that person disorganized. You can easily manipulate the person and capture that person or kill that person, whatever you want to do, because that person is no longer functioning at a level where they can understand because of what they just saw. So those are some of the things that these people did when they went to Africa. That's the only way. That's the way they know how to capture people, by destroying whatever they believe in, destroy the entire civilization, and then indoctrinate those people with, well, not this one, but like the offsprings, indoctrinate them and force their beliefs. And then have that belief taught over generation, and then it becomes part of them. Let's continue.
People were not doing it for any religious reason. They were doing it for basic human greed. envy and
gold,
jealousy.
ivory,
When you came into Africa, if you
diamonds.
read some of the documents they sent back to Europe, telling them what they had found. Cities that was laid out in grids. They drew pictures of some of these cities. If I showed you slides, it blow your mind. They talked about what the walls that people had built, the beautiful palaces. And then 2 centuries later, they're betraying us, the barbarians hanging from trees.
Stick up in. This is what pisses me off with black people who so deep in Christianity, because the information is there for you to see that Christianity is not ours. Boy. You see, there was whole civilizations, palaces, because there was a lot of kings back then, rich kings, palaces, grids of drawings and arts, and as I said, that's why I just don't understand how black people can so stick to, especially the Catholic Church and the Protestant, the Baptists and the Seventh-day Adventists and all those religions that they force upon black people, because we don't worship these things. Anyway, before I get any further, you know what? Let me just continue.
And it gets crazy because we don't know our history. We get to thinking that's the way to deal with us. What the African says is that all things are expressions of aspects of the divine essence having your peculiar experience. So when we talk about voodoo, there was no religion called voodoo when we left Africa. That's a
Of course. Hello.
And so, when we think of this voodoo, you got to be careful to learn how to rephrase and recast the system of worship that we engage in. And say, let's just take Haiti. Involves elements to know us. Those elements is a reference to the forces of nature and cosmology as interpreted and understood by our ancestors through experience. So when we see the drawings that they call bebes, that is some ancestor, some of our great minds' interpretation of a cosmic energy formation that responds to a certain vibration, be it language, music, or some other rhythm form. And so we paint what we perceive to be the representative instrument of...
I don't want to be pausing it, so I'm going to hold my comment until it's finished, okay?
Of that elemental energy vibration. You understand? We have something we call Orishas. And people think that Orishas are persons. But Orishas are not persons. We use anthropomorphism to symbolize concepts, ideas, and principles. Orishas are concepts, ideas, and principles that represent forces and powers in both nature, in the human, and in the cosmology. To the degree to our ancestors understand how to define them and isolate them, and to understand their function and how to have a relationship to them, that is the degree to which we create a theology around and about them. That's African sacred science.
Yeah, naturally.
Most people would not even deal with our sacred science as sacred science. And we don't study enough to defend the integrity of our institutions. There's nothing that even borders on our ancestors' sacred science and an understanding of how this world works. No institution, none of them. They're all primitive compared to the depth at which we understood.
Okay. So I hope I learned something from that, because they brought us. This is why I don't understand why black people believe some black people believe that we are inferior to white people, when everything that the West knows is what they takes from us, because before they colonized Africa. They didn't have these great structures as they make it seems. Because who you think were the builders of these great structures? It was Africans. Because we originally built palaces and great cities throughout Africa in ancient time in the 400 BC and all those kind of ABs and those days. Because and that's why they villainize anything African, like, especially when they come on to the doctor, bush doctors. That's why they say bush doctors are do obia or voodoo, because they and we as black people tend to believe that. I'm not saying they don't have to have. There wasn't people who use what they have to do bad things. Yes, but that's every culture. You can't escape that. But we had these great doctors because it's written on the hieroglyphics that you see in all these on these rocks and in all these museums. Check any museum in any European country that they stole from Africa. Those are some of the most prized possessions museums have worldwide. So where did they come from? Africa. Who you think did these work, this design, these drawings, these artwork? But yet they're saying we're inferior to them when they're digging up our ancestors, stealing the gold, and they are amazed by how we bury people back then. They're people of importance, the sarcophagus and the gold that they bury and the dressing and all these things. So I can be inferior to you because you stole all of our knowledge and then rewrite it and say it's yours. And that's why I say black people on a whole, you must take some lectures on African history and this is what gets to me as well. Modern day people now, I have phones and computers, so you cannot say you're being brainwashed. Smartphones can use some more than TikTok and Facebook. You can actually use your phone and do research to find lost cities, and all the things they stole from Africa. Even the British Empire, half of all the jewelry, so they have the crown and that big diamond. I think all those things come from Africa, stolen. Pass. So I hope you learned something today, and I'm gonna do some more videos on Professor James Small because, as I said, he's a lecturer. He go all over he's a global. He do global lectures all over, and he's an activist as well, and he's a Pan-Africanist as well. So he's a good person to listen to because I like to listen to people who have knowledge. I don't listen to people who don't know what they're talking about. I like to talk to people who do research and history, like Professor James Small. So anyway, hope you all learned something. If you don't know what it is, Washington SSM Podcast. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget, a like is free, so don't forget to click the like button. It helps with the algorithm for the videos to go to the masses. If you don't know what it is, peace, one love, boom.